Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the End Product Podcast. Myself, Stish, here, and my sparring partner, as ever, Quinny. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, Stishy boy. I'm good. Good to see you. Walking on sunshine as ever, my man.
We got a lot of End Product to talk about, and also Quinny and I just realised in the warm up, in the sort of like the backstage, if you like, as we come into full effect, we were talking about the episode number, and it's episode 48. And Quinny said, "Oh, you know, episode 52 coming up soon, the year." And I said, "Oh, we may be around that time now, because obviously, if we've missed a week or two, we missed last week, obviously, and we must have missed a week or two previous. Couldn't remember any." But Quinny's got the website up. We've had a little look at when the pilot episode went out, and it's exactly a year ago today. So this is our first birthday. We're trying to figure out, is this the end of the season or is this the beginning of the new season? What are we saying, Quinny?
Yeah, 12th of April. So that's the end product one. So it was like you said, it was a wee pilot episode that went out. I don't think many people actually caught it. We called it Silent. I called it Silent Pilot. So we just kind of got together, the three of us, and had a bash at it. But yeah, lovely, because I think we're probably better putting this as like the season ending, because of the end product that you've got for the last 2 weeks, the story we've got to go through in terms of that, in terms of, and you know, and again, we'll get into as the show rolls on, but maybe the strategy and the tactics, because it, like, even though like it's not really the end of season for like actual football, maybe in some extent, like for some Sorare managers, maybe there's a little bit of almost end of season vibe going on now, where like any guys you're bringing in now, you are really thinking about next season already, aren't you? If you win an Mbappe, for example, and I'm sure you'll go on and talk to us about that, Stish, but or you were to buy somebody from the market, you're thinking further on. So yeah, I think we're at a season end. This might be the end of season 1 of the podcast. That sounds fun, doesn't it?
That does sound fun, and looking forward to, like you said, like building for next season, especially in those European divisions. It is that time, isn't it? I think looking at the kind of market cycles and obviously trying to figure out if we're at the bottom, is this buying season? Is this selling season? All of that, I'm sure we can get into through the podcast. Tony's not with us, obviously, this weekend, but he has definitely been dipping back in the market. He's been in the group chat this week, asking for our opinions on a few moves that he's been going for. He's got a couple of interesting lineups in this week's competitions in the midweek, which is always nice. I think this time of season, don't know about you, Quinny, but if you've got a 5 or even in some cases a 4-player lineup for these kind of midweeks, where we get into the kind of business end of Champions League, all of the sort of last few teams left in those midweek fixtures, you feel quietly confident, don't you, if you've got a lineup? And I know Tony's got a couple. Have you got anything interesting going on in this midweek?
Absolutely zip, mate. Zero. Midweeks have, since that last international window, midweeks have been done for me completely. They were on a coin toss. Maybe 1 week I'd have one, maybe 1 week I wouldn't. But I say since that last international break, it's been nada for me.
Yeah, I've got a couple of goalkeepers available this week. I got a few sort of like Liga MX options. I think like my main port of call this week was I did have a half decent Rare Pro lineup to put together. So I put that in. It kind of balances a little bit. It weighs a little bit in on Colidio starting for Tigra and hopefully getting a decisive. He's gone a little bit cold out there the last few game weeks. So if he gets a goal, the rest of the lineup looks pretty good. Got Verts and Frimpong in there. So yeah, it kind of rests on Colidio turning up. But yeah, my cap 240s in limited and rare are both looking pretty outside chances of hitting the thresholds now. So that's kind of what it's been like for me the last few game weeks as well. Just hit and hope. I think as well, having like Muric and anyone else who's sort of following the championship is one of those divisions that has quite a few fixtures in the midweeks at the minute. But I think with Burnley kind of like getting that promotion, it'll be interesting to see now how many more fixtures Muric actually does start. I think once they win, if they win the title, they maybe only a win or two away. I'm not exactly sure how many more points they need to win the league, but Muric could find himself rotated out for the last couple of games to
What is the details on Muric? Is he an owned Burnley player still, or is
I
he
think
on
he
loan?
is. I think they bought him.
They
I'd need
bought.
to check that out though. I will get that up on screen
I
now.
forget now as you're talking about it because as maybe they don't need to play him anymore, for
Yeah,
their own selfish, personal gain part of it,
I'm pretty
So yeah.
sure. Let's have a look. So yeah, he's down as they signed him for 3 million. So he's a permanent fixture at Burnley. So he'll be there next season unless they bring someone else in or move him on. But yeah, that's kind of the story of my midweeks as well at the minute. Is I'm not really bringing players in for midweek. I'm seeing what I can put out, and like you said, like building for next season more than like week to week at the minute. I think I've got some good options for the closed season in Asia and America. How's your kind of like closed season of Europe looking? Have you got options there? Do you see yourself competing much?
Well, it's actually probably one of the only things I've done over the last maybe month or so that's moved my club, moved my gallery on. And it's probably the only thing it's worth me kind of mentioning in this podcast before we get into all the good stuff you've been unwrapping, Stish. But I've kind of redesigned my depth chart that I've got on my wall here, as it were. And basically, end product wise, like I firmly see, like for the size of gallery I've got, without me like going out and buying 12 new goalkeepers or something. I'm just kind of looking at the position I'm in now. How can I maximize and what am I maximizing against? Yada, yada. And I basically have prioritized like 3 or 4 divisions. And then what I'm trying to work out is a non-EU mirror image. What can I compete against when the 2 or 3 months where they're not around? So I'm not planning on having really more than, I would like to have 4 or 5 teams going out in that time. At the moment, I'm only capable of playing 3. So there's a little bit of a drop there on goalkeepers, but I've got the outfielders now to do it because I won that Ladero last weekend.
Nice. Yeah.
So that was my tier 1 win for finishing like 20 something the weekend we missed. And he helped me this weekend win another guy who's European that is irrelevant to this. But I won a Giuliano super rare guy who plays for Corinthians ages ago as an old tier 3, now a tier 4. And I couldn't sell him for more than 0.1 for love nor money for ages. Brazilian league's back. He dropped to 67 midweek and he sold for 0.2 on the market for an auction, or somebody bought him off the market anyway. I sold mine for 0.19 and nice. I went out Stish and I bought myself a rare and a super rare defender. Same guy. I got myself a former Celtic player as well. His name is Eric Sviatchenko. So Big Eric is transferred to the MLS. He's moved to Houston Dynamo, the team that Hector Herrera's at. I know he'll be suspended for the weekend to get his 5 yellow cards. But anyway, they've been performing very well defensively. Defensive players have done very well at Houston. And I know Big Sviatchenko from when he was at Celtic. I rate him a lot. He's definitely not past it or over the hill. And on a personal note, the guy like fancies himself as a model. See if you follow him on social media and all that. Like he does fancy himself to have a modeling career around football, So him going to America and MLS and all that, he will be he will be in the deep end. He'll be one of these guys that goes to MLS and wants to be seen like a Carlos Heel, who wants to be seen as Sviatchenko's a big player in America or something, He'll be up for it. So I managed to pick up his super and his rare from when he was at Midgetland or whatever.
Yep.
So with him, I've lost Giuliano in midfield, but I've got a few other guys knocking around, obviously, like Giacomakis, Carlo Holsa in Norway. That super rare I won a while ago. And yeah, I've got just about enough to knock around with for where I'm at the moment. But I'm not like... So yeah, I'm content. Now I'll probably be playing 3 teams, maybe 2 teams, because 2 of my goalkeepers are Tani and Barraza, who are both shaky. So maybe I'm playing 1 team. You kind of need to read the writing on the wall with your goalkeeper selections, like we've seen with Brad Guzan this week getting injured. Of course, if you've got a guy that's rotation bait, injury prone, old, whatever, get a dodgy number 2 on the bench that could put you, could take your place or something. I say you kind of need to read the writing on the wall and prepare for it in that way. So, yeah, I'd like to get up to 4 or 5 teams. Hopefully it's no less than 3, but it's probably going to be 1 or 2.
Yeah. I feel like I've been quietly preparing for these months for a long time. It feels like Christmas time almost, trying to figure out what I needed, really. And I think that some of my excitement maybe has been dampened a little bit because we still haven't seen Lee Han Bom play this season. Still waiting for him to even make his way back onto the bench. I think we're expecting that this month, but so hard to sort of pick up that information from social media in Seoul and find out the information online from all the sources that we can find within the Sorare community. And it's been a bit quiet on him, so I think with him not playing, and then some of my good cards, Julian Araujo obviously moved to Barcelona B. Lautaro Giannetti, my other super rare, has pretty much become a backup. Godin has taken his place at Velez. So I'm not in the position that I was hoping to be in, but I do still have a lot of good options in super rare and in rare. I've got a lot of goalkeepers, so I do have enough goalkeepers to kind of fill out all those cap modes and stuff like that. So I am quietly confident between my America and my Asia cards that I should hopefully have a successful close season. I think last year when I looked at like the historic sort of graphs, I think August last year, like the first couple of weeks of August were two of my best weeks last year. So I think if results go my way, I've got the players that can hit the big scores. Obviously got the Osmars in there and all that kind of, those dependable scorers in super rare that can push you towards the rewards. So and Seoul have started great, and obviously Baek Jong-bum seems to have picked up the #1 jersey, which is great for my U23 options. With Tani there as well. Like you said yourself, Tani, and we've mentioned him so many times on the podcast, but he is a bit of a risk, isn't he? And I'm hoping that Baek Jong-bum can just bed in a little bit at Seoul. He had a great performance last weekend, put up like a 90-odd score, kept a clean sheet against Daegu, who, are offensively quite a good side. So I'm expecting him to keep his place next weekend, and hopefully he can kick on. He is a good goalkeeper, and I think that he plays with his feet a lot better than Choi does. So I think hopefully a couple of weeks in, we can feel a little bit better about that U23 option for the summer. And I'm really hoping that, if Lee Han-bom comes back in, then having those as a defensive pair would be incredible. And, looking at the fixtures for this weekend, I'm seeing Chinese Super Leagues back in. I've got some options there. So I'm quietly excited, not necessarily for these next few weeks, but more when we can see who's starting. I'm not going to risk any of those Chinese Super League players in any main lineups this weekend. I don't think. I might sit back, wait and see how they score, and go in ready to use them next weekend. But yeah, I'm excited for the close season, doing some building now, and of course 2 weeks of glorious end product that would be it's been a couple of weeks, right, since we were on. So to get into the sort of the tale of the last 2 weekends for anyone who missed it, last weekend I managed to hit first place in U23 Rare Pro. It's the first time I've ever won Rare Pro U23. It was only my third podium in the 2.5 years I've been playing. And in the pool was, of course, your Mbappe's, Kvaratskhelia, Vinicius Jr., Haaland. So he's looking at all of the sort of, as you do, the prize pools, getting excited, looking back at previous weeks to see what the winners won. And, for the previous weeks on the weekend game weeks, it was like Haaland went to second place, Mbappe to first place. I'm like, I'll take either one of those. Of course, when you're in like that Mbappe roulette, you always hope. I mean, I do anyway. I've always wanted an Mbappe, but I would never pay the money for one. I'm like, if you can win one, incredible. So I found myself in Mbappe roulette. I've talked myself into it. I've scored 522 points, biggest score I've ever put up on the platform. So I'm feeling like this is a justifiable Mbappe moment. Top of the league, massive score, weekend game week. It ticks every box. Looking at previous game weeks, everything's looking good. And then we sit down to do the rewards. I've got my kids there with me. They're excited. And I opened the reward and it comes up as like Italian. And I thought, who's Italian in the pool? And then the goalkeeper, and I'm like, oh, it's Donnarumma. And I'm like, great. A Donnarumma is a great card, but where was he in the pool? I'm thinking, I finished first. There's 4-star rewards to pay out in that pool from just in that division that I'm playing in. Then there was another 3 in rare. So I'm like, there's 7-star rewards going out this week from the under 23 pool. And I'm thinking, where was Donnarumma in the pool? If I'm first, who's below it? Like, what's left below it? And that weekend, for whatever reason, it was like, I hit Donnarumma, and then I think the next place was Almada, and then I think it was like Saka and something else below me. You know, you could sort of like objectively say, oh, you'd rather have a Almada or a Saka. But when it goes on sort of like values, Donnarumma is still probably like, you know, he is the top out of the 4 that played out in our division. And then in rare, I think the top prize was Wirtz, who was above Donnarumma in the pool. Which is another interesting point, because I've seen that happen before, where the top place in rare scores higher in the pool than the top place in rare pro. I'm not sure how that works out personally. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think rare pro first place should be better than rare first place, because you probably need super rares to compete. But anyway, long story short, won a Donnarumma and was a little bit like, I thought I'll go in and just see what everyone else has got and just make sure this wasn't a mistake. Because I just thought Donnarumma was like 9th in a pool of 16. And I was thinking, you know, worst case, I'm probably going to hit like 5th or 6th. Anyway, by the time I sort of looked and seen what most people had got at that point, it made sense and it didn't look like a mistake. It was just that so happened that weekend, nothing really hit those top. And that wasn't just in U23. It was in all of the divisions I looked at. All-Star, you know, Champ, Euro, all of them sort of hitting those sort of bottom half of the star pool. And some of the sort of group chats I was in, we kind of theorized on it. You know, a few weeks ago when they made the mistake where a lot of people got tier 2s and 3s that should have got 4s and 5s and stuff. I was like, I think we've just unfortunately paid the price that weekend for the mistake they'd made a couple of weeks prior. And obviously I didn't need to announce that, you know, no one's getting the top end of the star pool this weekend, but you know, it might have sort of balanced the books back out by like not giving away.
I think it would be more a case of the cool down thing a little bit, you know, because there is like a kind of like Mbappe won't get spat out every week, you know.
No.
So I was thinking there, like I agree. I would rather to win Wirtz than Donnarumma, but I think like on SRD values, like Wirtz is like, I've never seen him so cheap, to be honest with you. So
yeah,
like I don't know.
No, I'd agree with that. I think there's so many things in play at the minute. Obviously, end of the season's coming. Some players are aging out of U23. That obviously has a big thing. In the case of Donnarumma, PSG are out of Europe. So he's not got that midweek utility, especially as a U23. Like, as the midweeks come to the end of the season, you get less and less options in goalkeepers. And Donnarumma is one of the goalkeepers who now doesn't give you that midweek utility. And I think that we've seen, if you look at some of the U23 options in America, where they have now they've got like that division where they play against Liga MX coming up, and they do have midweek fixtures. So like Chris Brady, Celentano, those sort of goalkeepers, prices have gone up, whereas all the European ones that have lost that utility are starting to go down. Donnarumma also ages out, so his price is probably now hit the floor.
Beautiful. Actually, he's actually cheaper than Wirtz. I'm actually looking at this now. I can't believe I've been waiting for Donnarumma to age out, because, like, for me, Donnarumma is a nailed-on goalkeeper for the rest of the time. Like, you know, failing injury or whatever, you know, he's going to be a number. He's been playing for AC Milan since he was 17 or something. You know what I mean? Like, he's, you know, but that U23 premium's always just been too much for me. So I'm actually really excited to see him come down at this kind of level. Bit rubbish for you to win him as an under 23 reward, perhaps, Stish. That's what we're all thinking, isn't it?
Yeah, I think. You know what?
What a crap reward.
Yeah, I wasn't disappointed with him as a reward. It was more that, like, I've only ever been in a position where I could have won an Mbappe once in the past, and it was when I won U23 rare in a midweek. That was a really low score in midweek where there weren't many fixtures, but I won it, and I won a Carlson. And I think my expectations were lower because that was a midweek and I knew there weren't many fixtures. So I didn't even really think that Mbappe was an option that week. This weekend, I really thought this could be it. This could be Mbappe time. And then when I did, you are a bit deflated. I wasn't gutted with the reward, but I was a bit like, Do I need a Donnarumma? Not sure. But, you know, he is going to have that international week utility pretty much forever. Like, as long as I'm playing this game, he will be available for me probably. So, yeah, I wouldn't sell him at the current price he's going for. So he was a hold for me all day long. Roll on to the midweek. Not a lot happens. This weekend happens. And I'm figuring out where am I putting my cards. I went in with what I thought was my best team again into U23 Pro, which didn't actually include Donnarumma. But having Donnarumma gives me a much stronger play in Champ Euro than I currently had before him, because my only options there were Trapp, who plays in goal for Frankfurt, or Yevan Diouf, who plays in goal for Rems, which is actually a good option. But because I play quite heavy in U23 Pro, if he has a good fixture, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to play him in there and go a bit weaker in Champ, because I think Champ Euro is a tough division to win unless you got a big stack or something like that, right? That's my thinking anyway. But this weekend, Diouf went into a bit of a tough fixture. I think I put him in my U23 rare. I can't remember, but I ended up with a nice team. My only kind of like worries for the team that ended up going on to win the division were I had one super rare. I did have some other super rare options, but it was like William Carvalho, Luis Milla, like players who are going to hit a decent all around, but are not really likely to get a decisive. And I think if you want to try and win Champ Euro, you need hundreds. You need 90 plus. You need every player to bang, and you need your super rares to do the same. So I kind of put the team together. Let me get the team up while I'm talking about it. But I put the team together, and we talked about this on the podcast before, but how important having those players with that 10% bonus. So my team was Donnarumma, who obviously only has the 5%. This is the first time I've used him. Kalidou Koulibaly, who was playing away to Wolves, had like a good fixture for him. He hit 100 clearance off the line, even though they lost. With that 10% bonus, that's 110 points. So, you know, it's not quite super rare, but it's almost there. Vert's captain with the 10% bonus. You know, once his bonus was added, he put up 116 for me. So straight away, you're like, you're hitting that super rare level of scoring without one. Di Lorenzo started the game week for me. He put up at 89. So he's also got a 10% bonus. Which was added. He managed to get a goal or an assist. I can't remember which one. And then, so I went into the final day on Sunday, what was almost the final day for my team with Cherky, super. And it was like, I thought, Cherky's one of those players, isn't he? Or not Cherky, but Leon. Leon as a team, you don't know what you're going to get until they start playing. And I was like, I knew the game was kicking off. I was at Butlins with the family. My son's buzzing about it. I'm like, if Cherky starts, I'll find myself in first place for the time being. So I went into first place. Then I got knocked into like third because it was like very minimal amounts of points. So I was sort of hovering around third and fourth place, which was still a star reward. I was buzzing about that. But then like when you're that close, you're like, oh, come on, let's get into those ETH rewards. Those ETH rewards are lovely, aren't they? Like when you start hitting those. And my son wanted some lunch. So I went to Burger King and I'm queuing up in Burger King and I got a buzz in my phone and it's like Leon have scored. And I'm like, oh, and then I get the so rare one and it's like Cherky's got an assist. And I've shown my son and he's running around Burger King, like going crazy in that. And I'm like, we're first. The game finishes. Cherky hits a 94 with his bonus. And I'm first by about 3 points. So it's very close. But then all of the sort of Opta things leveled out. Eventually found myself 1.5 points ahead of second place. And I only had to wait for Barcelona. Looking at other people's scores, if Lewandowski had hit a 72, I wouldn't have won. Obviously, they won. They finished 0-0.
Yep.
So, yeah, the only other players that were like scary, there was one person in the division who had a full Barca stack. So he could have hit anything. He could have hit a 600 if they'd have like really balled out. But yeah, I was kind of like trying not to follow the Barca game too much and try and be like, you know, by then I'd guaranteed that I was going to get star rewards, but it wasn't guaranteed I would be first. It was like the lowest I could have finished then was fourth. And I thought, sweet, star reward, I'll take that. But then bang, like managed to finish the game week. For I'll wait until like tomorrow morning, like Tuesday morning, and then you starting to see like, all right, all of the Optus stuff's been done by now, should be good. And then I'm in the pool again, and it was different because I think of the weekend prior, I didn't build myself up. I didn't really look at the pool too much. I looked at it a bit because my son really wanted to see who we're going to win this weekend. And it was similar players, except you've also got like a Kimmich in there. And I'm like, oh, a Kimmich is great. I'd love a Kimmich. He probably isn't a card I need because I've got Wirtz, I've got Musiala, I've got Kroos. So like Kimmich would be like a luxury. But he is, he's Kimmich. So I was like, all right, cool. Like if it's not an Mbappe, it could be a Kimmich, it could be Kvaratskhelia, it could be Vinny Jr., it could be, there was a lot of very, very good players in that top end. And I thought, knowing as I did that the previous weekend we did hit that bottom half, there is a better chance that now this week they'll hit the top end again. Mm-hmm. But it was a different feeling. It was like, I didn't have the anticipation that I had the previous week. I think it was like, like the reality check I got the previous week was like, it's probably not going to be an Mbappe, but it could be an Mbappe. And Tuesday night, I've got a gig. Right, I'm in London. I had to do a DJ set last night, 7 till 8. So exactly the same time as the rewards come out. So I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do? Am I going to open my rewards while I'm DJing and become like one of those memes of like DJ like watching the football on his phone instead of DJing and shit like that? Like people, I've seen posts, and I've done it during the Euros. I've had like my phone up in a festival and that while I'm playing. But yeah, the set started a couple of minutes after 7, so I was like refreshing the phone, and I'll share the footage of it. I think I'll put a clip of it on Twitter if anyone follows me on there, but I'll get a bit of footage together. But I was like checking my rewards during the sort of intro of the first track, and yeah, there it came: France forward, PSG, Mbappe, and I'm there trying to contain my excitement, but I was buzzing. Yeah, got home, was looking at, as soon as I got off the set, I'm on the train on the way back, and I'm trying to like put him into lineups for the weekend. Like, oh, who's he got on the weekend, and where are we putting him? And it's exciting. Like for me, that's like God tier reward. I don't think there's a reward on the platform better than Mbappe. Personally, that's the card I want to win. Now that I've done that, the only cards that I want to really win are Man United. I want to win. And I think there's one thing is like buying the Man United players, great, but winning them is even more of a thing. Like you've won a few Celtic cards. I always remember the Furuhashi, and that must have been a moment for you. Obviously, I've won Sancho. He's coming good the last couple of weeks as well, so he might become useful to me. But yeah, I'm buzzing. Like I don't know when I'll win a division again. I can't believe I won them back to back. Especially Champ Euro. I didn't think I'd ever win Champ Euro Rare Pro with one Super Rare in the lineup. I think.
Well, that's what I was going to say, mate. I didn't want to interrupt any of the story because I was also buzzing to hear it and everything. But see the team that won the Donnarumma, mate, that was a beautiful team. Super Rare Frimpong, Super Rare Veerman. Like that was an absolute like end product lineup if ever we seen one. Like it was proper star-studded. Everyone banged in a big way. Like you say, 521, massive score. And yeah, it wasn't really until like I knew you had Cherky running, obviously in the group chat and everything. Cherky was the last one to go, but it wasn't until after Cherky hit I realised, oh, this is Champ Euro that you're running. It wasn't. I just seen Donnarumma and Cherky and Wirtz, and just like in my head, like it just thought U23 again, but no, Champ Euro. So like you've got two new trophies in the Club Tropicana trophy room. U23 #1 and Champ Euro #1.
Do you know what, as well, thinking about it, the Frimpong the week prior, I'm pretty sure that was the first game week I used him as well. He went straight in on debut and bagged the big one for me. And then Donnarumma's gone straight in, compounding the interest, winning a reward with a reward. I can't complain. I think I'm buzzing. I don't know when I'll win again. I think, you're in it to win it, obviously, but I didn't enter that Champ Euro team thinking it's a win.
You now have Donnarumma and Mbappe, which you didn't have 2 weeks ago.
I know. It's amazing. It's amazing to me. And it's like, so that the thinking about another thing we were talking about off air, and that was the next point I wanted to get to, and I wanted your like input on it as well, was you asked me off air, are you going to sell it? Are you going to keep it? And I've been thinking about this a lot. I think like if you need the money or whatever, like an Mbappe is the card, if you can sell that, that's a great lump of money that you can take out of the platform, put away, and actually like it will change stuff. Like that's a life-changing, like maybe in the mid to short term anyway, that's a holiday, that's paying off months of your mortgage or whatever, like if you can do it in a lump. But I think like in terms of the market cycle we're in and a few other things I'm going to touch on, I don't think even if you wanted to sell the Mbappe rewards, I don't think now's the time to sell it. And my reasoning for that, and I have no intention of selling him. I plan on using my Mbappe forever. Like as long as I'm on this platform, I'm probably gonna keep that Mbappe. If I sell it, it will be because something's happened in real life and I need the money or whatever. Like I'm selling up. I think Mbappe is a card I can use in my strongest lineup for probably the next 10 years. And as long as I'm trying to win at this game, he'll be in my lineups. But in terms of the market cycle, if you wanted to sell, I think now's a bad time to sell for a few reasons. Obviously, end of the season, we already talked about Donnarumma, at PSG not having that midweek utility. Mbappe's just aging out of U23, so I think that's already priced in anyway. I think the drop in his price is mostly like he's only got a few more games left of U23 utility, plus maybe a few France fixtures in the closed season. So that's all priced in. So I feel like this is almost like his bottom. If we end up with another slew of new users over the summer who are ready to like kick on for the new season, let's say Sorare do a big round of marketing and we get loads of new users and people are incentivized to spend money as opposed to just coming in and playing the free to play. People who are going to come in and want to win are going to want an Mbappe. Another thing that also played on my mind is Sorare don't have, as far as we know yet, the full Ligue 1 license, right? They do have a PSG license, but what says they don't get it next season? And we don't have the full Ligue 1, and PSG doesn't renew. Mbappe suddenly becomes a card that isn't minted, and his price will reflect that. We don't know that yet, as far as I'm aware. Maybe someone can enlighten me if I'm wrong, but as far as I'm aware, we don't know what the Ligue 1 situation is yet for next season. There's not been any announcements. We don't know if PSG come back on as a partner. We don't know any of that yet. So selling Mbappe now could be a massive faux pas. Imagine selling him and we find out in 4 or 5 months' time when the season's kicked on, we haven't got any new PSG cards. And then the announcement is PSG is not partnering with Sorare this season. Then what? Mbappe's price is going to go crazy, a bit like when Haaland left Dortmund for City. Until we got those Prem cards, Haaland's price was like, I remember looking at Haaland thinking, 7 to 8 ETH was maybe like worth paying for him. Like this was only a few months back in Sorare terms. Do you know what I mean? Nothing. If you're trying to win Champ Euro or the top divisions, you want an Mbappe. And if Mbappe is not being minted next season, what's that going to do for his price? Because I think it would double or more from here if we had no more Mbappe's minted on the platform. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what you think.
I'm just looking at it now, mate. I said to Andy Black when we watched was it the last Mbappe auction? I was on Sorare Data watching an auction. I'm sure it was the Mbappe. But we're in the third season of having Mbappe on the platform now. Someone brings up who was it? Sorry, Josh brings up a great point that this season they were a wee bit delayed in getting cards. And also when we initially got PSG, it was around December-ish, November-ish time anyway.
Yeah.
But there's been 3 seasons of PSG, and we're basically at the end of this European season. At the moment, out of a possible 300 rares, there is only 203. For this season, what number? Do you know what serial number you've got on your rare?
I had a look at it, funnily enough, and it was like 37 or something. Let me have a little look at it.
Ooh.
It was very low. Like
Very
they haven't
low.
minted a lot. Yeah, 37. So I'm assuming, that's the last one that was minted or thereabouts. He obviously doesn't have a lot of rares. There's never a lot of them on sale. But yeah, I mean, 37 is my serial.
And like I said to Andy as well, like part of the thing, like you say, Mbappe is, by all accounts, the best prize to win on Sorare. Whether he's under 23 or not, maybe changes something, I don't know. But with Mbappe, you've always got the best chance of winning Mbappe, if you know what I mean. So like he is really, no matter where he goes in the world, if he moves to Champ America, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anything, he's always going to be, you can always win him with him, kind of thing. So he's got a little bit of that, wee bit of that gloss on him. But I was saying to you, I thoroughly agree with mostly, pretty much everything you've said. I think Mbappe is a real, like I said to you, it's a real boom card for me. Like I don't think there's many of them on the platform. Kimmich is one because of his SO5 like greatness, and armchair fans know him too. He's not just he's not Cecilia or something.
Yeah.
Mbappe, Neymar, Messi. Some of these guys, and there's a few other ones, right? There's maybe like 10 guys that are proper like boom cards, but he is the number one of them. So like if and what I mean by that is like if the market does like swing back all the way around, you just need to look at the pricing history of these things. It will, it's normally guys like Mbappe that are leading the wave and whatever. Yeah. So like you say, like for me, it's one of those cards where you can enjoy playing it, and then like if it does become, well, for me personally, if it was mine, like if it became something crazy, then it's no problem to do because it's one card. It's not your whole gallery to get maybe like a sizable chunk of money.
It's like when we had Hendo on, and he talked about selling his. I think what he got 12 ETH for it, didn't he? Like, if that's a little bit more like, oh, could you tempt? If someone sent me a 12 ETH offer for it today, I don't think I'd be able to say no to it. Like, as much as I'd want to have that Mbappe, if you get a 12 ETH offer for that card right now in the current market conditions, you take it all day long, right? That's common sense, because you can then go and put that 12 ETH to use somewhere else, take a little bit out, sweet, still enjoy the game, still be a proper player on the game as well. But I think for me, and that where my gallery is and how I feel about the platform, and so many things have come into it, but it hasn't entered my mind at all to sell that card. Not yet, not in the current market conditions. And like you said, if there is a boom or something happens and all of a sudden we get a rush of new money, like if the crypto market goes booming again and everyone's going crazy for NFTs, and Sorare now has solidified itself as a brand that like isn't just about the football, but it is built on NFTs. If that like floats your boat, we could see a massive spike there again. There's so many things that like could happen that could put value on that card. But for me, the value of just using it is also worth a lot. And yeah, the fun that I'm going to get watching Mbappe's name pop up on FOTMob, being able to follow him, knowing that I'm following him because he's putting points on the board, and
you've got
following him as a fan. But also, like, another thing about that card for me is I got to go to PSG and saw Mbappe score and this season. So it's like I've now got a little keepsake from this season. Mbappe, Donnarumma, two players that I won this season in the season that I visited PSG, watched them win 4-3, saw Mbappe score, like had an absolutely amazing game. He blew me away. It was the first time I've seen him play live. So there's so many factors in like why I love this card and why I wanted to win that Mbappe. I think, I can't see another win on the platform now, which I'll be more buzzing about, unless some wonder kid like emerges in the next few seasons and that's the next one that you want to win. But like, yeah, I think that's the card for me. It's now, and having that Donnarumma as well. Like, I've almost got like a team I can enter straight into champ next season that's like on any given weekend could win 6-7-0. And if you haven't got those cards there, you've got them now. And it's like I can put him in with maybe a Toni Kroos or a Di Lorenzo at Napoli, or a Wirtz. Hopefully he stays at Leverkusen. Musiala. Like, I've got some great options in those divisions now. And if Cherki moves to PSG as is like tipped, I've got like the super rare there. Like, I've got the makings of like a pretty hefty Champ Euro entry without having to like go out and spend for that. And I think that's that's the kind of dream you kind of play out in your head as a player who wants to progress. Is like, how do I compete in that division? And it's like, oh, well, you just win an Mbappe, and it's like, yeah, but that is the dream. I'm living the dream, mate. Like, as far as this game's concerned, that's it. Like, it doesn't get any better than this. So, yeah, glad that the end product has some end product from me. It's been a minute. I think I've been due like some decent wins. It's like waiting for a bus. 2 came along at the same time, and fingers crossed, we're going for the hat trick this weekend. I don't know what division. I haven't started building teams yet. Have you had a little look at where your like big fixtures are this weekend?
Yeah, my teams are long, but I'll be just so I'd kind of like I've mentioned on the podcast before. I'm one of these crazy people that will build teams 12 times all the way to the deadline kind of thing, and it's just like constantly just double checking some injury statuses perhaps, and maybe some gut feelings here and there on some fixtures or whatever. So, but what you've just went through in the last 2 weeks, mate, is absolutely epic. Everyone in the chat, by the way, has been sending their congratulations to you, and I would like to pass mine along as well, mate. Well done, great win, Stish. Long, and it's a great, and I think that's a great thing for the podcast. Like end of season 1, Mbappe unlocked, Donnarumma unlocked, and it's like a proper level up moment. I've had a kind of similar kind of thing over the last 2 weeks. Like I've already mentioned, I'm not going to kind of labour it or bring it up again to any real point, but like even getting in amongst, like I've been winning tier 2s the last 2 game weeks, and one of them came into the next team and won the next one, like you did with the Donnarumma on debut, kind of as it were. And the wee joke I put out on the video from a reward opening, I finished 42nd, Stish, but I got the number 1 rated defender in the game. So, which is, for anyone that didn't catch it, it's Rafi Guerrero, who's been playing defensive mid, but went back to left back at Dortmund. But like that's
big scores.
These for me, what I've noticed with these divisions, mate, like what you've said exactly as well, like these high XP players, and we're all sharing stuff on Twitter the last couple of days. I see everyone, Harry, Andy Laird, McBride, all sorts of level 20 cards that are hitting those marks now. And some of these high XP cards, like in the All-Star, the 270s, or even the regions, like if you've got enough of them, then maybe it kind of softens that maybe that one super rare team or whatever. I'm always too scared to go one super rare, but I think it's a great effort, mate, all over. From playing the one super rare and winning a division, and having the Veerman take you all the way to the top of a division. Frimpong finally comes in on a budget, because he dropped down in price, and everything else, mate, excellent. And I see everyone sending their congrats, and I'm sure anyone else that's listening to this, someone else is probably doing the same, mate. So well done. Well done. Everyone's buzzing for you.
Yeah, cheers everyone. I've seen my Twitter's been popping off the last couple of days of all of the messages and the congrats, and I think everyone's seen like the Donnarumma sort of. I called it the conundrum because I think like it confused me a little bit, but I felt I had loads of messages from people saying, "Oh, you should be emailing them for a swap like that. That's got to be a mistake." Blah blah. And I did. I had a little look at it, and I thought it wasn't swap eligible by their own rules, so I didn't even bother. I'm like. When you looked at everyone else's, it made sense. It's like, oh, it's not a mistake. Everyone else below me got cards below me in the pool. That's just the way the dice was rolled this weekend, and I had to roll with it. And once I kind of like got over it, I was quite happy to win a Donnarumma. Like you said, great card for someone who foresees themselves playing this game for years to come. You can't really get a better goalkeeper than that on the platform. He will be a number 1 and an international number 1 for a decade plus, probably.
Yep.
So like it is a great card to win. It's only in the context of like you might win an Mbappe where you might even be remotely disappointed with that. But I've won 2 star rewards, and I can now put them into a team with other players that are in those star pools every week. And I've got like a star pool lineup for champ, for in part U23. So I'm in such a good position now. Where I don't really, unless I think like I always say, I won't put any more money in or whatever. I should really be trading, but I'm always a bad trader because I don't like letting go of things at bad prices. And I don't like taking a like 10-15% hit on something that like I could probably just sell, try and get the 100% for it, and then go and buy the thing that I want rather than trade up for it. But I'll be a bit more patient. But yeah, I just think that this is not the time to be selling champ cards or even trading them. I know unless you've got a smaller gallery, I'm in a position where I've got quite a big gallery and I can just sit and wait. And I think that my patience paid off a little bit in the week as well. In the season, where I've sat on cards that have got red X's and stuff like that. And one of my cards, Thomas van den Belt, who's been playing in the second tier of the Eredivisie this season. He's been putting up some incredible scores. If you follow him, by the way, on FOTMob, but he's just been signed to Feyenoord for next season. And they've just been sat in my gallery gathering dust for a season because I just thought he's young. They look like they're going to come up. If they come up, he'll be main man next season. If he moves, hopefully. I think like the Feyenoord's an interesting move because if Szymanski doesn't sign at the end of the season and if like Koku leaves, then he might see some game time. But I still think, I'm going to get more utility out of him next season than I've had this season at the very least. But I think sometimes, if you can be patient, it will pay off in the long term. But yeah, I think I'm just going to be patient through the break, put those cards into training, start trying to like get them closer to that 10%. It's going to take a while, but I might even pay some of those boosts. Those boosts that you can now get. I don't think we've talked about that on the podcast, but the new boosts where you can level your cards up. Obviously, you don't want to be leveling cards up at 5 to 6%. You want to be leveling them up at like 9.5 to 10 or 9 to 9.5. Those kind of levels is where you might be tempted to use those boosts. Have you been tempted to use any of them boosts yet, Quinny? How are your coins stacking up in the shop? Anything?
I'm not raking mad amount of coins at the moment, so I'm not in any great rush to spend them on. So I've had a look. I don't think you should be doing any of these boosts unless you're at level 15 or 18, anywhere in that range. If you're at 19 already, then just keep your coins. 18, fair enough, and anything below 15, just wait till you get to 15. It's not any mad rush. I don't think really, unless like, I don't know, if you're mad hot for a team one week, maybe, and it's just to get yourself over the line. Maybe you want to do something, but to give yourself an extra edge. But no, I'm not really tempted to spend the amount of coins required for the rare, the super rare, or the unique one, to be quite honest with you. With the cards I've got that are level, we're within that level range when I filter through my club, none of them I'm that buzzing about. Like, I can't wait for David Sorare to be at top level, or I can't wait for these other people. Like, I've got like anyone that I would be excited about, they're at level 19 basically, or if they're at level 18, they're just about to go to 19. So there's no, so I'll just let it happen, in training and games and stuff, because guys that play level up quite quickly, like my McGregor unique is like really high level already for how long I've had it, because it's a unique and it gets so many more points for the division it plays in because of the bonus and whatever. So yeah, I think it will be useful, definitely. It's not something I'll be spending coins on, but because if you listened to Dan and Alok when they were on the So Far So Rare podcast, they were saying stuff to the effect of they want the coins to be more appealing than other rewards that are currently more, Mbappe's and stuff, So, like, if that's the kind of level of onus they're going to put on it, then I say, if I'm clipping the now about 3,500 coins a game week, I'm not wanting to spend what is probably the equivalent to like 7 game weeks to level up a super rare. Like, because, that's 7 game weeks, 7 weekend game weeks. It's like you're saying, like you win that Donnarumma and it takes you, and then midweeks when nothing's going on, it's so rare as a game played in real time. You can't go on holiday like Football Manager and just get your assistant manager to do all this stuff for you. And then come back after the friendlies are done and start the season. You can't do that. You need to actually live it. So I'm not in any rush to. I've spent some coins a little bit. I got the couple of training expansions, and I've spent 1 or 2 swaps, I think, last week or something. But the level ups are not really for any cards I've got. I'm not interested in it at the moment. But yeah, it's good to see more stuff's coming in there as well. More interesting stuff.
I think I agree with what you said, and I forgot what like talking about Dan and Alok on the on John's podcast, talking about the coins, and that's a very good point as well. I think for me, I'm waiting to see how much is like a signed shirt or a ticket's going to go for. Like, I don't really want to spend any coins until I see how many coins do I need to get like a signed shirt, or you know, I'd imagine the signed shirts go to some kind of like coins auction, right? Because they're not going to have like a million signed shirts like for people to claim, an unlimited amount of Man United ones. Some will be worth more than others, etc. So I'd imagine shirts will almost need like a new mechanic. You know, shirts, tickets will have to go to some kind of like coins auction. So with that in mind, there's a part of me that's just like, I love the idea of going to watch the football, and I think like the level up thing is tempting a little bit, because I do think that I owe a big part of my recent win to that, having that 10% on 3 of those cards in the lineup. But yeah, I think the coins is an interesting one. Someone in the chat has just also put up an interesting comment. I'm going to have to try and read this slowly. Yehonatan Gaji, once we know shirts prices and stuff, we'll be able to put fiat prices onto So Coins. So I've heard a few people sort of like talk about this on podcasts, and I wanted to talk about it with you, Quinny, and get your opinion on it. What are your feelings on So Coins being sold for fiat? I know what mine are, but I want to hear yours first.
I think it's maybe inevitable at some point, you know, same as like, again, and I know from hearing Dan's comments, I'm sure it was Dan on that podcast, on John's podcast, that, you know, they definitely try and stay away from the FIFA comparisons, but it is kind of like FIFA points, you know, if that's the way it is, you know, it could be their FIFA points in the future, if that makes sense, where, you know, you buy your extra training team, and you know, if you wanted to start the game and you wanted to get 5 training teams out pronto, and you wanted to level up some cards quickly, and you're going to be playing the game seriously, maybe there's a mechanism to do that, and you know, that's another revenue stream or another lever they can pull. Again, in John's podcast, he did stress but that they are like looking at more like things, but there's no rush to execute on any of them. So for as long as I think it's maybe borderline inevitable that they become you know, like an in-game purchase, as it were.
So I think, yeah, that's quite interesting you mentioned the FIFA coins, because I didn't even really think about it like that, because technically FIFA coins or FIFA points aren't supposed to be worth anything, are they? But people do sell them. They've created like kind of secondary market for.
Well, there's coins and there's points.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
So points you can buy in like the PS store, but you can't officially buy coins. There's the way they try and, like, I don't know how, that's obviously, so there's some reason they have it structured that way, you know, but officially you can't buy coins as I used to understand. I've not played FIFA in 3 years. And that's why people that sell coins are like pirate sites, and they normally get shut down. Or if you get caught buying them, you're you know, if they catch you, PlayStation might ban your account, you know, or something.
How do people get around it then? Because people sell them on eBay and stuff, don't they? Can you send coins to other accounts on the platform?
Yeah, you can maybe like list Andy Carroll for $1 million, and then somebody will go and find it and buy it off you or something, I suppose. But like, yeah, so I don't really know the whole ins and outs of it, but there is in FIFA, like, you know, for me on a PlayStation anyway, I'm sure it's the same on Xbox. There's points you buy, and they're like green things. They're on that little green square.
Yeah,
coins was the actual, like, then, you know, what you're pulling in game. So it might, you know, maybe it is. Like, I think like So Coins could be the green ones, because we already have Ethereum on the platform, which is the currency of the game, which Sorare have no control or influence on, as it were, if that makes sense, you know. Yeah. So for it to be an in-game purchase thing, and again, like in our computer games I play, they've all got their own little in-game credits that you can spend £4 on and go buy a wee bundle and get skins and stuff. It's not an uncommon mechanism in any game, you know. So I think it's probably inevitable that it could become an in-game purchase.
I think they need to bake in like a kind of mechanism for sending coins, wouldn't they? Like, you know, like in the offers, if you could add So Coins to an offer for a card, that might be like the gateway to this happening, even if they don't actually like put them on.
Would you want that, but
I don't personally. My personal feeling on all of this is I don't want.
I think you're then maybe setting up people to farm. Then
is that
account again? You know,
there's that definitely, and also I just think that like Sorare for me in the kind of crypto space is in a really unique position where it is built on crypto, but it's not. It doesn't need it. It's more like, you know, the technology needs.
It's exploiting crypto.
Yeah,
it's just exploiting
it. Here's this great technology. Let's use this to make this cool game. But you know, technically, if they can get the fiat on ramps sorted out, and so it's like really good, and you know, like obviously the credit card fraud situation is something that like isn't a Sorare problem. That's like that's a global issue, but unfortunately, it's easily exploited because Sorare is built on crypto. You can quickly like buy something with a scammed credit card, sell it on the market for Ethereum, and disappear into thin air. Right? That is a problem. Is a Sorare problem, which they obviously are figuring out. Bazza is in the chat, and he mentioned what is the best way to add funds on Sorare. Now they've stopped card payments, and that kind of taps into the point I'm making as well on this whole sort of like crypto thing. The reason that they have stopped card payments is to try and clamp down on these like card scams where people will get a credit card, buy an Mbappe on the market for like 2.5 ETH, and then sell it for like 1.5 a day later, and then cash out and disappear off of the face of the platform until 6 to 10 months down the line and doing it again. And it's like that is why I believe they've clamped down on the credit cards, like purchases the way that they have. I personally have always used Ethereum to top up my account, so I'm probably not the best person to answer this question. But if you're using Ethereum to send to the platform, you need a MetaMask, which you can install from Chrome as like an extension, and then you need to get like maybe a Binance account or something like that. Binance is probably the biggest one. Get Binance on your phone, link that to your bank, buy Ethereum on Binance, and then send Ethereum from Binance to your MetaMask account, which is linked usually to your Sorare. And then from there, you can kind of like upload or download Ethereum on and off of Sorare onto your MetaMask account. And if you need to cash back out into fiat, send that back to Binance, send it to your bank. It is a long-winded way. And I think that is quite daunting and scary for anyone that hasn't done it. You do have to be careful when you're doing these things. There's a lot of good videos online. I'm sure Quinny's done them on your channel. There's plenty of them. But yeah, look on YouTube, take your time, buy some Ethereum on Binance or one of these other like Coinbase or wherever people like to buy crypto, and then send Ethereum from that wallet address to the wallet address that's on your Chrome. Obviously, there's all sorts of other things you have to be careful with. Make sure you've got your private keys stored somewhere, all of that stuff with your MetaMask. So I'd say, yeah, look into setting a MetaMask up safely. It takes 2 minutes to set one up, but make sure that like once you do set it up, you know exactly how to like lock it and access it should anything happen to your computer. And then, yeah, get a Binance account or any other platform that sells crypto and send it from there. I don't know about you, Quinny, if there's another way that
I made a wee video recently how to deposit and withdraw, like just on the site. I've always used freely for the last like year and a bit. Since Ramp has been on, I've always pretty much used Ramp, to be honest with you. Like, because when I first started playing Sorare, I was buying Ethereum to then manually port it on, like you've described, because it was like the only way to do it. And that worked out really to benefit me because I was picking up ETH when it was cheaper than what it went on to become, which was great. But now I don't really accrue ETH the same way. So if I'm depositing money on site, it's to deposit money on site. I don't really care about the price of Ethereum on a Tuesday versus a Thursday or whatever, like before, kind of thing. So Ramp is, I think, quite easy. The guys, Baz is saying in the chat, it normally crashes on him. I see there's a video on my YouTube, Quinny 3001, how to deposit and withdraw. Maybe just double check that, because I do it all on my phone, and it's all like me actually doing it on my phone. It's in real time. It's a wee bit speeded up just for the convenience of the video, of course. But yeah.
So that's good that they still got Ramp. I think that was maybe one of the points that I was missing when they stopped credit card.
Ramp withdrawal.
I assumed that also meant that they would blocked Ramp for it. But
you can still buy with your card on the primary market. It's just secondary market, because the secondary market, the credit card company can't do anything because the card is transferred on the blockchain. If that makes sense, you know how we like credit card fraud and all that kind of stuff. You obviously reverse the transaction or whatever. But with an NFT, it's a bit different, particularly when it's peer-to-peer,
Ramp's
so they can't just raid an account and pull a card back, so they're kind of screwed. So you can still use your card on the auctions, and you can still deposit through Ramp. So.
Yeah, Ramp's good, actually. I don't know what their fees are like, but I know it used to be a little bit higher than the fees you maybe were paying gas. But another thing with Ethereum is, depending on the time you do it, if the network's busy, you'll end up paying more money to send it from Binance to thing than and then from your MetaMask to Sorare. So like maybe, and probably to be honest with you, Ramp is, I didn't realize Ramp was still running. I thought that that was what they blocked, but no, Ramp's a perfectly good way to fund your account with Ethereum. Definitely. Yep. I've used Ramp for other sites, and I'm sure I've used Ramp in the past with my brother when he set up his account. He doesn't have a clue about crypto. His is all usually with his card, and I'm pretty sure we did that through Ramp. That was a while ago now, but yeah, Ramp's pretty decent. I think I know Nicholas has been kind of like hinting towards the fact that they might have easier off ramps as well. I think that's the big thing. When it feels less crypto, that'll be better. And I think again, that's another reason why the idea of like selling coins for money, for me, I'd rather that is avoided. Just the less crypto this feels, the better for it to be like adopted by more people and accepted also like socially. I just think that like the idea of NFTs still scares a lot of people, as does crypto in the current market. It gets a lot of bad press. Yeah, not rightfully so, in my opinion. You know, if you know what you're doing, 99% of the time you'll be fine, but you do have to be careful. But yeah, the less crypto this feels, the better, and the more it will be mass adopted and accepted, I think. And another thing as well is like people saying like, you know, what would you buy coins for? And they said, you know, to get signed merch. You can buy signed shirts from places if you just got to make sure you can trust them. And I suppose that's what
that's a big part.
You can trust Sorare because they have the, you know, that's maybe what you're paying for the shirt from Sorare, knowing that it's come from a legit source who have like relationships with these clubs and players. So I guess that might be why people will buy coins to get the shirts. But I think it'd be interesting if they don't sell coins, but you do need them to buy the shirts. It's going to be like, you know, that's exciting to me. Just like stacking those coins, thinking one day this coin is going to buy me, I don't know, a VIP experience at Old Trafford, or, you know, a meet and greet at the Carrington training ground, or something like that, that like you can't buy, but your coins can. And if you held on to them long enough and you are one of the few people that can win that auction for it, you're laughing because no one else will have had the foresight maybe. But Azzy Mac asks, what is the first shirt you'd want? I know exactly what mine is. Mine would 100% be a Zinedine Zidane signed shirt. Doesn't matter what club it's from any of the clubs he played for, but preferably one of the shirts he wore. Like that is where it gets a bit complex, because, you know, getting Zidane to sign a shirt,
a vintage shirt,
also sourcing like one of those old retro shirts that is the legit. I quite like a retro shirt, me. So if I had a Zidane signed shirt and it was like maybe like the older Juventus number, or like, you know, the number 5 Madrid shirt, or, you know, or even the France shirt. 98 France probably, because I've got that card as well. But that'd be, I'd definitely a signed Zidane shirt for me all day. What about you, Quinny?
As things standing out, probably be a signed Kyogo shirt or signed McGregor, one of the two. But realistically, Sorare-wise, and it's not possible next he's not at a licensed club, but probably a signed Jordan Larson top. I'd have loved to have got one when he was at Moscow and he was killing it, you know. Just because I've got a Henrik Larsson signed frame shirt, match worn and all that stuff. So if I could get one of Jordan as well, that would be something, you know. I keep that in the house. I've got one a work spot. I've got a signed work shirt.
I've seen that, hanging up over there. I do notice that in the background. I didn't realize it was signed. I saw the verts. I really like the red and black shirt from that season as well. I think that's a great one. You'll have to get that one framed, Quinny.
I like that because I won awards. So I won Kyogo. So I think like I won that Kyogo Super. So I think I wouldn't mind that. But something I've won is probably something I've won and kept and probably will keep is something I would Sorare-wise probably aim for.
I actually bought a match issued Cherky shirt recently from Match Worn Shirts website, and it came through. It wasn't worn by him; it was issued. So it's got like this really cool, like holographic kind of print on the bottom of it that has the fixture on it and everything, that it was issued to the player. So you know it's a legit shirt. It's just it wasn't the one he wore because he gave his worn shirt away at the end of the game. So, but I want to try and figure out a way that I can get that framed, maybe in with like a digital frame built into it that has like my verified NFT of Turkey inside it as well. That is the tricky part. But I think that might be like the build of that frame would be quite technical. But I'd also want, like, it's one thing to just put a digital image on the frame. That's quite simple, like getting a very basic screen put into the frame. But can I get like like some kind of QR verifiable like digital frame that Quagak 32, the shirt that I bought was bought from matchwornshirt.com. It's like a charity they've set up. A lot of clubs have. They give their shirts at the end of the game to this company that then auctions them, and the money goes to charity and stuff like that. But PSG are on there. A lot of big clubs. Celtic are actually on there. You can buy, and some of them are amazing. You look at the shirts and they're covered in like grass stains and stuff like that, and they've still got And some clubs players do sign the shirt after as well, so it's like match worn, stained, signed, and they also can add the frame in if you want, and the frames look really nice too. But match worn shirt, check it out. No, I'm not being paid to say this, by the way, either. But yeah, I was very happy.
By the way, there's a cool one that I've seen that La Liga are doing now, and I meant to. I wrote the name of the company down, but La Liga are doing one like that, but it's the match ball.
Oh, nice!
So the match ball gets auctioned at the end of the game, and I was watching it. Oh, what game was I watching? I can't remember what it was, but I was like, oh, I'm probably going to do that this year if I've got a lot of La Liga players. Oh, I was watching Enes Unal scored 2 goals, and that was the game they were telling us about it, and there was like a ball at the side of the pitch and all that. Like, I thought, oh, that'd be really cool because the team didn't win anything. But see, if I had a team like yours and I had a La Liga scorer in it or something, like,
I mean, they did actually auction the Lyon shirts from the other game. I feel like I should have a look and see if I can get Cherky's match worn from that game because he won me the Mbappe. That'd be a great shirt to put in a frame and have. But I mean, like Messi's shirts go for like 20k plus like every week on it. It's big business. But like some of the lesser known players and some of the smaller clubs, they're quite obtainable. I mean, because Cherky's one that I bought wasn't match worn, I put in a cheeky bid for it of about 220 quid and won. But another thing I will say is if you buy from this company, they're based in Holland. If you're getting that shipped over to England, they have to put like the actual value of it. So anything over like 100 quid, you end up paying like VAT when it lands. And I had to pay about 98 quid to get it to my house once it had been landed in the UK. I had to go to the post office and pay like a fee to get it. It was expensive on top. But if you live in, it would have cost me less to go and pick it up from the Netherlands, and they do give you that option. I could have bought an EasyJet return flight for less money than I paid to get it delivered. And if I ever buy from there again, that's what I'm going to do. Take a little trip out to Amsterdam, short 45-minute flight from London. The beauty of Brexit, as put so eloquently by Zalabanzi in the chat. Yeah, we're still reaping the rewards of that decision, aren't we?
No, for sure.
But yeah, mate, it's been a great. I've just seen how long we've been on air for. Quinny, have we got anything else that we haven't covered yet? I know we've always.
Well, Stish, what we all want to know is this weekend, what we're doing. Mbappe and Donna, what are you doing with them?
Do you know what? I went on Sorare data last night and I started trying to like put my teams together, and Mbappe wasn't showing up in my like team builder lineup builder because I think that maybe he still was a bit fresh in the gallery. So I kept building and then deleting my lineups. But I would imagine that Mbappe and Donnarumma will definitely go in a team together. I think that makes sense. I like to keep players from the same team. Not so bad when they're like defense and attack, but they got Lens at home. So big game, first v second, would expect it to be tight. Mbappe's a match winner. Donnarumma is going to need to keep a clean sheet. So I think they go into a strong lineup. And I've got some really good U23 options this weekend. Sim Muric has got a AAA fixture. Sesko, who's on form at the moment, AAA fixture at home to Lask. So maybe I find a way of squeezing Mbappe and Donnarumma into a Salzburg PSG sandwich, and they'll either go into U23 Rare or Rare Pro, or maybe we look again at Champ Euro and go for that again. But I want another win. I want to try and make it a hat trick this weekend. So I'm gonna try and put the strongest lineup possible into what looks like a winnable division. Also, like to touch on, I haven't mentioned it this week, but that Challenger Europe like dream team that I built with my son, the PSV Ajax has gone 2 for 2 on games. We've won 2 rewards in a row. Nothing to write home about. No massive ones just yet, but we've had 2 limited wins with that lineup. And my road to glory, my £50 road to glory, was gloryless again this weekend. The DMP cost me the 240 cap. So not having any end product on that £50, although the value of that squad is now up to £58. So there is a little bit of a win there in that, like the ROI, if I sold up, is looking pretty nice there. 20% almost in profit. Nice. So, sometimes you don't need the end product to get the end product, so to speak. But yeah, I'll be excited again for those lineups. But Mbappe and Donnarumma, I think, yeah, I'll be excited to see how PSG get on this weekend. What about you, Quinny? What's your big lineup looking like for the weekend?
I'm putting Celtic in a big team again, but I'm more excited for some of these All-Star teams again. Let's say I've finished top 30, top 50, that's been the last 2 weekends in All-Star. But with the cards that I've won, Ladero's made that team a bit stronger. Guerrero comes in and makes an All-Star Rare Pro team pretty strong as well. So I don't really know. I've kind of got strong teams kind of all over the bow. I'm not particularly buzzing about one in particular. Like some good fixtures, but as we've seen, I had a really good stab this week at unique kickoff. So I've only got in the main scarcity I play, which is the blue ones. But that's kind of the way I'm trying to talk.
You were close.
I'm trying to talk without mentioning the name of the scarcity, just for everyone's benefit, But the main scarcity I play in, I only had 3 keepers to play this week, and I didn't think Skrupski had a good match at all. So I thought I'll give the unique a bit of a shot. I think Edward was on to play, blah, 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 whatever. Not only did Edward play and score in unique kickoff as captain, right, but Skrupski, who I had down as my worst keeper, got a clean sheet against Atalanta and dropped in a huge score. I think before multipliers and all that, it was in the high 80s. And the rest of the team didn't really do much, but I was sitting second for a short while, ended up finishing 5th. So it was a sore one in the end. But Edward has now got an injury. Don't really know the extent of it, but he's out for 2 to 10 weeks, depending on the severity of the. So I found a site that a Twitter account that knows the injury. It depends on the grade of what it is. Mechanisms. No, it's a new one, mate. It's quite small. Check them out. They were really thankful for my retweet. So they've got 50 followers or something. Really small, really good detail. Premier League, Champions League players. What was I saying? Sorry. But Mulgrew played last weekend, and so I've got a unique back in action. So I'm going to be doing that same thing again. So I'm kind of hopeful. I was quite close, and I was talking to Mark Alele, and he reckoned that was a really high scoring week in that kickoff unique. So I'm hoping I'll maybe get another bite at the cherry this week with Mulgrew in defence. Won't be Skrupski in goals, but he's done too well, and he's playing AC Milan this week, so at home. So I'm thinking if you can keep a clean sheet against Atalanta away, then I'm definitely not going to be scared to play against AC Milan at home when they've got Champions League midweek and all the rest of it, So, so yeah, that's kind of the state of play for me coming up, mate, for the weekend.
I just had a look on your Twitter feed, and it's Physio Scout.
Physio Scout
is the Twitter account for anyone else that's interested. I've just given it a follow as well, but I just seen the post that you mentioned, and it's quite a nice detail, nice bit of graphics.
Mate. And see if you go on their feeds, mate. There's tons of it.
Yeah, that's great. I love accounts like that, especially for I follow one called Injury Mechanisms, which is really good.
Yeah, I've got them too.
Yeah, great for trying to figure out how long a player might be out for, especially if it's not being reported exactly what happened. They can kind of take a look at the fact. They look at the foul. They look at the way they fell, what they were holding. It's interesting. It is interesting, but it's good to follow all these kinds of accounts. But when
you get that kind of info, it's beautiful, isn't it? You're like, oh, yeah. Brilliant. And I now don't need to listen to the crap that the club are going to say. Exactly. Listen to the waffle from the manager and all that stuff. This guy actually knows his stuff, and he's spilled the beans, So you're just listening for, is he back in training? Oh, cool. So that means it must have been a grade 1, 2 weeks he was out. Nice. Or cool.
That's
or, you can kind of fill in the gaps for yourself in that way. So, yeah, nice wee account there for some of the end product faithful out there to catch on.
Yeah. We got one question from the chat, I think, before we head out. It's quite a good one. It's quite a broad one that will apply to, and I'm sure a lot of the chat can have some input here as well. But it's from a first-time chatter, so welcome. Reva2323 said, you mentioned at the beginning about when to buy in. In your opinions, when would this be? They've got capital waiting, but they're trying to be patient about it. I think it, and someone else in the chat as well, Azimac has probably said what I would say. It depends on like the region or the league that you're trying to play. I think if you're looking to get in for next season in Champ Euro, like one of the top divisions like the Prem or the French league, the Italian, I think now is a good time because they've got a few games left. Prices are kind of bottoming out. People will start to get excited close to the beginning of the season again, and you'll start to see those prices creep up, usually like in the weeks leading up to the season starting. And that probably goes the same for like the Challenger. I don't know about you, Quinny. There's a few divisions that are into the kind of closing stages now. But then I guess if you're looking at getting in right now to play now, you might be looking at Asia and America. And I think that those prices are around about at their peak right now. I think this is probably when they start to top out, especially like goalkeepers and stuff like that. They are now getting to the sort of top end of their price point, I think. But what about you, Quinny? Any additional thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would to do my best to give you a proper answer on this one, Riva. Like, I think, especially when you're new, like what you need to identify first of all is like exactly what players you're after, because every player is really their own individual kind of market, and patience is definitely the way to go. So you've been, very well done being patient thus far, buddy. But then so once you can understand like who you're after, what scarcity they're in, what region they're in, you'll build a list up of, let's say, 30 to 40 targets. I don't know, I'm just going to give you abstract numbers, right? Of those 30 or 40 players, 10 to 15 of them are going to be in a depressed situation right now. They've not got midweek football, their team's not playing for anything, they're something, right? And you'll notice that their prices are way against maybe some of the other guys in your list. Those are the ones where your patience is kind of paying off now. Like, if you know what I mean, if you can see that in 6 months, 4 months, when this guy plays, he'll be very useful to me. And picking him up at this price today versus the price he was at maybe a month ago when his situation was much more appealing works for me now. I can get this guy in. I don't mind spending the money on this card, and then I can move on to the next target. And then once you've, as I say, so like if you've got like, once you understand, well, these ones are the ones that I can actually get on the real cheap the now, the guys that this, like I'm just kind of saying there, at the moment they're a write-off, but then when you get to the new season, they're going to be full of it. And then equally, the ones that don't tick that box, you're just watching out for them. What are they doing? Are they way ahead of the market? Are they kind of in the market? Oh, cool, the guy's suspended. He's going to DNP next week. Maybe I can get an auction that goes quiet because somebody thinks he's injured, or, and then you're waiting for circumstance to present opportunity, because like the whole market doesn't dance to the same beat. Super rares, goalkeepers, defenders, Asians, Europeans, they're all on different rhythms, so you really need to nail into every one that you're looking at and then identify the opportunity each one of them may or may not give you for entry.
It is, yeah, it's definitely a lot of messing about, a lot of research. But I think Reva 23 just said like in general, the current market conditions considered like a big fall. And I think that like a great part of the big fall, if you like, is that where the supply is, obviously at the moment with the amount of users, we don't know what can happen in the next sort of 2 to 3 months in terms of user-based growth and, cash injection, all sorts of things. I do think that at the moment, I don't know if Quinny would agree, but I feel like there's more opportunities and ways to win now than we've ever seen on the platform. So I feel like the barrier of entry is as low as it has ever been, really. So I don't think, if you're going in small stakes as well, like I think, which is sensible if you're new to the game, start off like pick up a few limiteds, pick up something small, get used to the mechanics of picking your team, make sure you get used to finding those places where you need your information as well. And I think like they start small with like a small group of players, maybe 10 cards or something like that, where you haven't got to spend your entire life trawling the internet for news on players. I think you can start easy, players that have good coverage, that kind of thing. And yeah, just get used to the mechanics of it. So I think like, obviously I talk to lots of people in the space, and we're all on these podcasts and we're doing Twitter and we do all that. So we all like mad into it. Like we will literally spend our lives online looking at information about players, trying to react to, you know, transfer news, trying to pick a player up cheap before they make a move, maybe not even to use them, but to, you know, move them on for a bit of profit. There's loads of different things. But I do think that, like, for me, my experience of like my friends and family who play the game, who are maybe not as invested in it time-wise as I am, they became way more interested in the game once they realized, you know, they've got to play it how they play the game. So my brother and my brother-in-law, both of them like were the kind of sort of players that missed the game week window. Oh, didn't put my teams in. And it's like, if you're that kind of player, I don't think you'll ever really like get to grips with how to play the game until you get to that point where you're the sort of player who would never miss a game window, because you know exactly when they are, you know who you're following, you know where to find information on the players that you're watching. I say my brother probably has about 20 to 30 limited cards. My brother-in-law's probably got about 10, and both of them play every weekend now, and we're in group chats. And I'd say, yeah, like keep it like contained in a like something that's not too overwhelming, and you'll enjoy it. And then you can start to like scale up. And I think this is a good time, really, isn't it? Because you can kind of play over the next few weeks with maybe some players that you're familiar with. If those players are in Europe and they close off for the summer, you might want to dip into the Asia market or the America, play that. And then by the time the new season starts, those players that you are picking up now from Challenger or Champ Euro, you'll know exactly what you're doing with them. You'll know exactly where to find the information out. You'll know exactly what players you want to pair them up with and how the kind of scoring matrix works, home and away, all that kind of stuff will start to feel less like work and more like fun. And I think then when it does, it's like you've kind of broke the seal then, like, sweet, this is now fun. Like I don't find it tasking to be on the computer all day, keeping an eye on things, because it is fun still. It doesn't feel like work. And I think if you think it's too much work, that's because you're not having enough fun yet. And I'd say, like, once you get to that, it's like trying to find the fun. Try and find that fun zone. When you're in the fun zone, this game's unbeatable, basically. And I'd say that then, you know, like if you're putting in an amount of money that you're comfortable with, you know, never put in more than you're like uncomfortable with, like losing. As much as this isn't like betting, treat it like that. Like put on a 30, 40 quid bet. And if you lose it, you could still sleep at the end of the day. Then treat Sorare the same. 50 to 100 quid, or 500 to 1,000, or 1,000 to 10,000, whatever it is that you're trying to put that in and be comfortable with that, and see where you get to it from there, I would say.
Yeah, and that's kind of in a roundabout way, not too far off how I got that was my kind of deposit rhythm, rather than putting some accas on for the weekend. And, you know, I used to run myself through, because I used to gamble quite a lot, you know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, what would I put on, blah, 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 roll it up and then buy a card for 100 quid instead. And then know I've got a card, and then play a team or build towards a team, that kind of vibe. So yeah, definitely. I'm all about that.
And I think, like, to give some more context to anyone that's listening on my podcast, Reva23 has just come back into the chat and said, great advice. Research has certainly been key. I'm just looking at the optimal time to pick up, say, a Wirtz or Haaland type. So if you're looking at those kind of like top end tier 0 Champ Euro players, it's hard to be 100% sure, but like part of the reason I wouldn't sell my Mbappe now is because it feels like this is buying time for those kind of cards, not selling. But the market can shift at any given moment. We never know what's around the corner. But I felt, you know, picking up that Frimpong recently on the market for like, that just felt like, why is he this cheap? That's how I felt looking at that. And, you know, we were talking about Wirtz earlier, and Quinny was saying, you know, I didn't realize Wirtz was that low. Right now, he is probably like as low as we've seen him in terms of like relative to the whole
100%. Yeah. Relative, the cheapest he's been, and he's playing, dropping 90s now. He's not injured.
Yeah. He's fit. He's in form. You know, he is in and amongst the international markup now. It's like you said, relative to the whole market, Wirtz looks like it's hard to believe how cheap he is comparatively to everything else that's going on. And maybe that is just the end of season cycle. And maybe we see those Champ Euro cards ping back up in like.
I think people are worried he goes to Bayern and it's a bit of a Sabitzer story or something, you know, or Gravenberch. I know he's wildly better than those guys, but similar situation, you know, squad-wise, rotation problems, not the same SO5 scores. Which I understand, I suppose.
If we knew he was going to stay at Leverkusen next season, his price would probably like jump up straight away as well. But I don't know.
To go to like Liverpool or something like that, go to an Apex team where he would ball out every week, at the highest level. Yeah, Real Madrid, something, you know, total top of the food chain.
He's good enough. He's good enough. I just hope, hopefully he doesn't get that. We were saying it a few weeks ago, I think the Real Madrid transfer now would be like a season too soon. I feel like, you know, a bit like Jude Bellingham is a good example. If Jude Bellingham moved last summer, pre the World Cup and all that kind of stuff, I don't know if there'd be as much talk about him now as there is. Yeah. It's the same with like Sancho. Maybe he moved the season too early.
But mate, see if Dortmund win the league this year, then Jude Bellingham is a legend among men. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like how young he's went there, first league title since Klopp. You know, there's no Haaland in the team, no Sancho in the team. You know, which over the last 5 years of Borussia Dortmund, you'd think if they were going to win the league, it would have been when they had them all together. Never mind when they've sold off bits and pieces. And, you know, between Julian Brandt and Marco Reus, keeping both of them fit at the same time has been a problem and all the rest of it. So, yeah, I think if Bellingham and Dortmund go on to win the league this year, and it's part of the reason I've won that Guerrero and Lodero. See the 2 wins I've had the last 2 weeks, Stish? I've actually won both of them last season and sold them. And I've won them again this season. But Lodero's won the Champions League for Seattle since then. And Guerrero, I was looking at him and I was thinking, well, do you know what? See if Dortmund win the league, I might actually really want to keep that Dortmund league winning Guerrero card that I won, you know. So
he's putting up insane scores as well. It's like I say, that's a great win.
I think it's a great point of Bellingham is what I was making. But like that extra season he stayed, if they go on and win the league, he's the main man that's done it, you know. Like he'll get all the plaudits along with Schlotterbeck and maybe one or two others that have scored the goals. But he's the guy in that team.
Absolutely, I'd agree with that, and I think that is a nice way to close it out. I think we've covered so much, a lot of end product. This is the end of the season edition into season 2. So next week will be our first of the new season. Looking forward to another season of end product. Hopefully, I don't know if I'm going to be able to beat the Mbappe.
We could probably have a nice wee section in the next show, like start of season 2, maybe have a wee reflection on season 1, perhaps. You know, any cards. we had a comment in the chat for that earlier. So if you're watching this after we've been live and all the rest of it, maybe throw in some suggestions of things you maybe like to still go have a, maybe dig up and go over the bones of again or something. Or I'll do it, Stish. I'm sure you will as well. And Tony, if he's going to make it for next week, I'm sure he'll do the same. Maybe have a wee look at some of the bits and pieces that we've pulled on from the podcast, perhaps, that have done really well for us on the leaderboards and that kind of thing.
That sounds good. Yeah, I'll have a little look at that. Have a look at the historic turnouts of the season. See how we got on. That sounds like a good plan. Like a kind of a looking back on the season 1. Yeah. Brilliant. Well, gang, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. Good week. Good weekend to all of you. Have a good weekend. Good luck, Quinny. It looks like his camera's just
camera's just died.
We've still got him verbally anyway. But Quinny, it's been an absolute pleasure. Gang, look after yourselves. Have a great game week, and we will be back with the first episode of season 2, end product, next weekend. Quinny's back. I wasn't sure if he was going to go there. I kind of like filling the dead there, but he's back. Good luck, everyone. Good luck, Quinny, and I'll see you all
good luck, Stish.
Next week. Up for the hat trick.